Baby, he is going to be playing the Phoenix. Linked is on Karazim. Blakitny is bringing out the Maiev. And Mopsio, he's got Johanna.
They push them to the 5th game. Can they close it out to the right side of the map? It is 80 Artie on Sergeant Hammer, Kirsten on Deckard Kane, Bad Benny on his Murden with the Stormbolts, Nick on Genji, and Ethereal Angel on the offlane on Malthael. It is Team Method!
And right now, as we head into the early stages of the game, Leftovers have found a bush.
Chinese bush meta coming through right here.
I feel at home already.
Yeah, attempting to trap them. Not quite sure if that's going to work out. They're currently waiting to see if maybe Genji is going to try and make a bit of a play, especially for that well that you have in the middle. We sometimes see the move over. It's Benny, though, that makes it. But
Mopsio! They got impatient. Goes it anyway. He's able to scout it out. Finds 2 heroes still there. But impatience is a slow and insidious killer. And as such, Benny is able to take control of the scouting bush.
Not really for long. So at this point, apparently, someone has put a flag in the bush and said, "This is mine." A little bit of a skirmish over it, but yeah, ideally, of course, what would happen from the Leftovers perspective is Genji making a cheeky play on the left side, and then you can blow him up and get that early lead here. But that didn't quite happen, so we are seeing the teams rotate towards the lanes again. And in this setup, we're having Hammer very much alone at the bot lane, and a 4-man at the top. But Benny needs to be a bit careful here. He actually hops out, gets the Stormbolt in, can escape, but a very early camp for Method in the meantime.
Going to try and put some pressure onto that top lane. There's been so many rotations from these 2 teams, and the fact is Maiev can actually hold this lane pretty well, so it's kind of cool to see them abusing that sort of second solo laner here. So good job by Method so far.
This series just absolutely fascinates me. We have the Pupil going up against the Master, Mopsio against ADRD, and we're ending it all on Brax's Holdout, a map that was played only once in Europe as a region in Phase 2. Absolutely crazy what we've seen here so far. Core rushes back and forth, throws, and this is just the perfect conclusion of this series. Who's gonna make it to the next round? Who's gonna take it here on Brax's Holdout?
As right now, we see the lanes being cleared out. It's a slow and calm start outside of that one little bush scout and the mercenary camp being taken. Sergeant Hammer has been holding bot lane fine, with only Maiev down here, not a huge amount of pressure, but with Bad Benny rotating in, Blakitny eats a lot of damage, but the counter damage from Linked puts enough pressure that Bad Benny will be forced to back up, especially with that lovely blind from Mopsio.
Yeah, Mopsio immediately trying to engage here. And talking also about engages and soaking a bit of the damage, we have 3rd win for Murden. We've seen so many perfect storms here throughout the tournament, but in this lineup and on this map, Benny decides to go for the additional sustain that he has with that level 1 choice. The fights are still continuing down here as we're once again seeing the action against Genji, and he goes down as the Leftovers get the first kill of the game.
Just as they hit level 4, they make that engagement. Beautiful timing, picking up that Genji as we see them taking control of bot, and Yarel is fighting for top against that Malthael.
Really nice kill here for the Leftovers, and that's of course how you want to start that last one. You could argue that they should have won the series a long time ago, and they're trying to make it happen in this game. The 2nd kill is secured as Malthael dies. Very well done here. Leftovers from the get-go with a pressure against Method.
Fantastic rotation there. Only 4% was gained, though, thanks to the lovely move in by Benny and ADRD, with Kirsten bringing up the rear with those potions.
Only 4%, but it has to feel good if you start the game with those 2 kills already. Blakitny is safe. They go for Benny again. Mopsio barely pushed out by ADRD. It was really well done by him. It could have been the end of Murden.
It really could have if they've been able to get that lockdown, but fantastic play, good team protection there. Nick also duels for Potiboss, but with the arrival of Athero, that will be enough to force back the Urel.
The big difference here, of course, with Braxis is in particular that you have the 2-lane map, and that is oftentimes a game changer when it comes to the rotations and how you approach it. Benny is in so much trouble now. He does not have an escape, and everybody's just jumping on him. Nick is trying to help him out for a second, but then reevaluates that. Mistakes were made as Benny goes down, gets completely body blocked, and that's 3-0 in kills for Leftovers.
So they need to start turning these kills into something. So far, it's only been a little bit of XP, but they haven't really got that many structures. They haven't managed to get a huge amount of Zerg wave potential. They need to start making something happen from these.
It's a good point that you bring up. They couldn't capitalize too much on the kills, but it's still something that I would say is pretty difficult for Method to handle. You're dying 3 times in the early game, in the most important match of the series. Can you really just stomach that and continue, or is that going to play tricks on you where you all of a sudden are going to show nerves when it really matters?
We will see, and ADRD is going to find out very shortly that there are so many people around this area once that camp is taken. But it is a mirrored camp cap, as we see more Firebats coming into top lane. Athera eats a little bit of punching from Linked. As we see, it is a 3 versus 4 in this top lane in favor of Leftovers. They forced Method back off the point.
Yeah, Meridian is currently down at the bot lane and also threatening Maiev here a little bit, but it's the big push at the top lane that we're currently watching here, with Leftovers trying to use the camp to maybe get a tower or 2. Experience is important for them right now. Half a level ahead, and if you can snowball it more, then you might be able to access heroic abilities just a bit faster than your opponent.
They're moving in, look for his option. Quick knockback by Poti Boss. No issues for the moment. Nick recaptures top. Still, no more percentage going over. There was a slight sound effect of it almost happening, but it was denied via that top lane.
Method is really in a spot where they don't really want to be. They came into this tournament and they said, we think we can beat every single team here, maybe with the exception of Dignitas, but even them, we feel with just a little bit more improvement, we can take them on. But right now, they're going up against the 4th seed in Europe, and they are struggling. You could argue that they should have lost the series a long time ago, but Leftovers, they had some weaknesses in the late game decision making. But now in this 5th game, for Method, this is really one of those moments when you question yourself, like, where do we stand? Where's our power level at? We expected to come into this and at least find ourselves in the grand final. All of a sudden, we have to fight for our lives here in the lower bracket.
This is one of the most rotation-heavy Braxis holdout games I think I have ever seen. Both teams completely ignoring laning setup and just trying to get control, trying to just outsmart their opponents, but neither is giving an inch. It's all about this ever so slight XP lead that Leftovers have as it creeps them slowly closer and closer to level 10.
Mopsio holds the Iron Skin cooldown very long until he sees Deckard Cain trying to go in with the ceiling and make sure that he is able to escape it. And that playing around the cooldown of Iron Skin is going to be incredibly important for Mopsio with every single engage and disengage attempt that we're seeing in this game. Because there is definitely a good amount of control through Muradin and Deckard Cain that he needs to be able to stomach.
Nick escapes the gank. Moves back behind his wall, even grabs the fountain just in case he takes a little bit more harassment for that extra health regen. But this is going to be a 4-man push. Leftover deciding to pull the trigger to get some damage done elsewhere on the map. But Hammer is doing the same, already taking down both towers in the bottom lane.
Yeah, ADRD is always, of course, a master when it comes to the strategy and the drafting, and he's taking the slow approach here at the bot lane as Leftovers are trying to force the issue a bit more aggressively. They are the team that does not have as much experience in the offline setup. Several of their players haven't played on stage before this weekend, and this is something that could come back to haunt them in the long run. But for now, we're seeing the big fight at the top, and the fights are something that Leftovers excel at.
Link's eating a lot of damage in these fights as we see the duel back and forth. Leftovers continue to hold the position, and now with level 10 online, they can try and make something happen if they can go in quickly. But a Method, they back off. They play it safe, they play it calm. Everyone rotates to bot lane. They're going to try and do the runaround until level 10 hits, which will be almost instantly forced.
7-sided chosen for Karazim, not worried about a potential last rights here on Malthael's side, not trying to negate it through a palm. Instead, it's the blow-up against Muradin they're looking for. Can they isolate him and go for it? Phoenix holding back his ult. This is a map where you can get good value out of Planet Cracker.
Zoning Napalm for Sergeant Hammer, trying to control the area. We aren't seeing the Planet Cracker. We're sticking with the Purification Salvo right now, as both these teams try to make the movements happen with currently top lane in control. Last rights, there we go. Very nice little Ardent Defender there to keep Urel alive.
The cooldown exchange definitely ending in favor of Malthael, though a huge cooldown on the Ardent Defender.
Half the cooldown, 60 seconds on last rights.
Oh, Benny!
That is a good 7-sided, but Avatar is popped. Here comes the salvo, and Benny tanks through.
Unbelievable that Benny is able to survive that, but great combo also from Leftovers. And again, you have to admire the ability of this team to always set up these traps that they are just snap close around the target. Benny barely able to keep himself alive, thanks mostly to his heroic ability, and that was clutch. It was a great move from Mopsio in particular particular, going in with a Blessed Shield, and then the damage followed up with a 7-sided. But Benny is able to go for Avatar.
And finally some percentage on the board, 26% acquired, but 8% was acquired by Method. And they're actually ticking up even more. Finally, Mopsio in for the interrupt.
Yeah, Mopsio's moving in again, and he's zoning ADRD out here immediately with the blind and forces him back. But one more thing that we've seen in the last fight is also the tornado, and we always have to mention the interaction between Phoenix and Deckard Cain when it comes to that. Every time you see that warp coming in from Phoenix, if you get that clutch tornado in that allows you to interrupt his warp animation, you are able to put him into a very awkward spot where someone like Hammer or maybe Genji could follow up with a kill.
Bo5 moves in, piles on the pressure. Trying to force back Nick, successfully does so. Blessed Shield from the side, 7-sided C Malthael, as that's a lovely pickup. Leftovers their 4th kill of the game, but here comes the Waters Cage looking for more, and Benny is in the pinball machine. Avatar is popped though, and Benny just doesn't die.
Benny doesn't die, but Malthael surely did. Sexy plays coming here for Leftovers. Once again, the perfect engages through Mopsio. These Blessed Shields are on point, and the follow-up is there instantaneously. Great play by the Leftovers. 4 kills against 0, but only a slight lead in experience here for them. They are still trying to gain more through the objective, but they haven't been able to get more than 50% yet.
As we see, once again, the move into the bot lane. Malthael has respawned and survived top. Level 13 just around the corner right now for Leftovers. As they move forward, trying to work out the right angle as Pody comes in from the side. Finds Genji. Extract has to be used for the escape. A salvo from the side could be huge.
Blessed Shield is going to be ready in another few seconds again, and they're already trying to move in. Here comes Mopsio. The Blessed Shield comes through. They're going for the old man. And Deckard Cain is walking away. Unbelievable.
And in that time, guess what? Malthael re-stole top, and that prevents more percentage going over to Leftovers. Method, they've been on the back foot the entire game, but that back foot is dug in deep.
Yeah, it definitely is. Deckard walking away once more. A little bit more respect for the elderly. That's what he demands, in addition to the space that he has there. 13 for the Leftovers, a little bit earlier, but Method is about to close that gap and get the same talent level.
Finally, looks like we might even see a fort dying in this game as Hammer has taken up position, dropping it down to under half health. Poti, though, just its sheer presence is enough to force ADRD to back up a bit.
Poti Boss with the engage.
Tether.
Benny, again, gets tethered, pushed in. The Pillmore machine is starting, but Urel wasn't quite there yet. Still busy zoning ADRD out and protecting the fort at the bot lane. But even Talons, once again, Malthael towards the top is claiming the beacon. Down here, it's a 5 versus 4, and they're going for it again.
Deflex, good. In comes the Tornado, not landing. Salvo on no slows, so not too much damage. Everyone's able to sustain. Difference is Cursen's actually very low on mana. He's going to regen most of that. And for the first time, really, in this game, Malthael rotates down for the 5-man for Method.
And they're trying to set exactly that up, but already we're seeing them coming in from the side here, especially Maiev.
Oh,
their pinball is there. The kill against Malthael, and they're trying to make it a double. Going for Benny. Once again, the Dwarf is hopping away as Potipos is pushing Cursen back into the fight.
This time, Cursen cannot survive. The hammer damage from over the wall, not enough. And that's a 2-for-1 in favor of Leftovers. 6 kills to 0 in their favor right now.
Leftovers coming into this last game and slapping Method around in the team fights. Not a single stack on the last rights for Malthael yet. And we have just kill after kill through it, especially the interactions that we're seeing with Urel and Maiev pushing the opponent back into the fight every single time they're trying to escape. And this is a risky move by Method.
Nick is low, as is Benny. ADRD has to drop the siege tactics to pull back, and finally the Zerg wave percentage begins to tick up to 60.
And Urel is on the way down to the bot lane now. This is another fight, and look at that experience lead. 15 to 14, an entire level right now, and you are aiming, of course, for the extra talent here. Potibos is playing it a bit safe. They're going for the camp, and Malthael is forced to the top, where he's trying to make sure that that 4 doesn't take too much damage against the minion waves that Urel has been pushing in.
Thera's decision-making in this solo lane has been absolutely fantastic in terms of keeping himself alive and keeping the XP and the beacon in his control, but it's where the team fights happen, the lockdown and the burst, that he's really been struggling.
Method is still in the spot where once they get a few kills, they can flip everything around here. So Leftovers, yes, they look powerful, they look strong, they have the 6-0 kill lead, but if if they start losing heroes, there is a lot of snowball potential with the siege through the Zerg wave and Sergeant Hammer for Method. So Leftovers, they can't let up. They need to keep the pressure on.
The Kidney burns through this Mercenary camp with the help of DAB. No extra pressure. That fort in the bot lane still alive despite the pressure of Sergeant Hammer. This is all about delaying until 16 right now for Leftovers so they can make a play onto the beacons.
Of course, Muradin here with the healing static on a level 13. That synergy that he has with his level 4 talent is fantastic to keep him alive in these fights, especially since Leftovers are forcing a lot of the battles in very close quarters, where there's a lot of stacking that you get through the healing static, and you can capitalize on that. That's something that they're looking for now, but Leftovers have taken the 16 talent here and now have the edge again.
Benny once again, though, with a sneaky delay on bot lane. They're holding this together, but Leftovers are moving in.
Damage on the side of Karazim, actually going into the way of 100 fists here, trying to get more damage in. They had so many opportunities to kill targets, but they barely escaped. If he can close that gap, he can take them down. They're moving in already. Here comes the Lornado. As they're trying to zone out. Up to the top, Urel against Malthael, reclaiming the spot, and here's the progress bar, once again increasing for the Leftovers.
68, but interrupted, seven-sided, though. Here comes the salvo, good, slows, and Benny is in trouble, drops low, pulling back, trying to back away, but Leftovers say no!
Link goes in with a wave of 100 fists, the 16 talent coming to play right here, right now, and taking down Muradin. The Dwarf has been able to hop away the entire game, but this is not gonna happen anymore. Not with Linked on the watch.
They're going to try and kill off Boss in exchange, but too many reinforcements have arrived. Leftovers once again, and this time for good. Secure the beacons. The first Zerg wave at 16.5 minutes is coming in for Leftovers.
With a change back to Solid Objective and the easy interrupt against the channel, this is something that it took ages, but at this point the Leftovers have pulled it off. They still have that level lead and they're already annihilating the fort at the top lane as the wave is pushing through. They are looking for the keep.
And that is what they might be able to get with Genji currently just fighting Johanna in this bot lane. Their frontliner is missing. It's all up to Poti here. Benny, he might be able to make a play here to turn this around for his team as Hammer is sieging down. That napalm is coming up dividends right now.
Trying to go for DAB, but the Stormbolt, even after connecting, is not followed up by additional damage. The wall has been broken up at the top. And at this point, there was a great defense against by Method. Much ado about nothing, if you ask me.
It's a fort for a fort. Method held the line. They lost their front wall, but this fort goes down to the Zerg wave. And Method, they're still in this. They're still a full level behind, but they are by no means out.
And I come back to what I said earlier. Despite the fact that Method hasn't killed a single hero yet, once that process starts, with everything that they have, especially around Napalm and Sergeant Hammer, they can snowball it easily. So Leftovers are playing a fantastic game. They're getting kills everywhere. They're so far ahead right now in the kill count and in experience. But it can all turn around, and we've seen it so many times in this series.
And of course, they have a Genji. If they are able to gain map control for just a moment, that boss is as good as theirs. That's even more push pressure, using that deflect on the boss to burn through that as fast as they need to. Method, like you said, it only is going to take one team fight for them to turn this round. Leftovers have to play so cautiously.
And one of the things that Method, one of the biggest assets is ADRD, the experience that he has and the late game calls that he oftentimes makes. This is what we've seen in game 1, in game number 2. That's what secured them these wins. And they are looking to ADRD right now. He's gonna make those calls outside of the team fights, and it could backfire against Leftovers here. They are definitely in a situation where they can win this series, but it is their first big event, so they have to be careful here. If they overstep once, it might be over.
You can see by Bad Benny Sparkling Hammer that he has completed his base trait, getting that piercing Stormbolt and the cooldown reduction. That's basically the only talent that was taken in this entire game. No one else wanting to even take the risk.
One level away from 20. Storm talents would go a long way for the Leftovers here. But
huge.
Method, of course, they're also looking for any opportunity now. A lot of camp control was already executed, but you can see them even hovering in the shadows every now and then, attempting to maybe set up a trap here. Same for Boss. Everyone's playing around Vision right now. You're hiding your URL, you're trying to hide Murden a bit. You always try to keep your opponent on their toes. And if they at any point just face check a bush with, let's say, Phoenix, that could be a kill, and that could be all that you need.
I was talking about stacking talents, but it's the most important one of all. Last rights, it has 0 stacks, because guess what? 0 kills for Method. It's still them behind. They're just about to hit level 18. Level 19 is being burned through by leftovers.
And now we have the beacons activating again in another 10, and that's really the moment where the leftovers, they can play this a bit slow, they can wait for the Storm Talents here. Method is already double checking if maybe there's an attempt to get the boss, but that's not the case here. But with level 20, all those options would be available to the leftovers. So Method is all of a sudden in a bit of an awkward position. What do? Do you try and force a fight around the boss? Do you try and bait it? Do you try to engage into a fight before level 20 abilities are there? But how do you force that out of your opponent?
It's a wonderful question. Let's see what they do here, as right now it looks like it's all or nothing on bot lane. Even without 20, they know that they're going to have to play around and either delay till 20. They might just try the double rotation, just rotate up and down, just ring around the rosy leftovers. As leftovers they go for the boss. Quick deflect from Nick. This is scouted, and immediately the pullback. This is buying them time.
Yeah, leftovers the entire time. They had to watch the boss area, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. But Method commits. They want the fight P20. Already Mopsio trying to zone that out here. Moving away again. The boss moving far towards the right. That's good for the leftovers as they're claiming the point here. But Boss slow, needs to be careful. The cage comes down. So does the boss. They can grab it, and that's exactly what Phoenix is doing. The boss is taken. Method outmarking themselves here. But Mopsio falls as the last rights go in to take Johanna down.
And that's a big bit of comeback XP for Method. They need to start dealing with this boss ASAP, but they also need to prevent the Zerg wave. They're not even 19, even with that XP is 20. It's hit by leftovers.
Couple of points secured, but not really too much as Benny moved in. It was close. A few more seconds, a little bit more of tickle in experience from Johanna. Would have been 20 and could have gone for Indestructible to counter the action of Malthael here. That didn't quite work out for them, but at least the fort at the bot lane has gone down.
Bad Benny is holding the line. They're fighting into 20. Johanna's already still dead, as Bo5 getting caught in the Lornado, very nearly going down here. Benny keeps pushing forward, finds Lynx, but not going to finish him off.
No Ardent Defender being used here. Eats all the damage, but doesn't do anything rash. Again, we said it before, it's a big cooldown. 2 minutes at this point, that's an eternity. But we still have Johanna back on the map now. Also deep breath here for leftovers, but experience-wise, Method has started to catch up a bit.
Half a level. That's all they need. They have everyone here except Hammer, so it's a 4v4 versus level 5. Here comes the salvo. Benny is in full retreat, but Link says no way of 300 fists as he takes down 3 people with the help of a kidney.
Decker down Malthael and Muradin. This is the disaster for Method. They were just able to start and come back into the game as Johanna was down for so long and they caught up in experience, but now they lose 3 and they still don't have 20. Already we're seeing the beacon progress ticking up for leftovers, and this is where you want to make your big play.
This might just be a 20 versus 20 push in for the core. Like you said, the Zerg wave ticking up. 30 seconds left on those 3 heroes as 20 is just about to get hit for Method.
Urel is anchoring the top, making sure that Genji cannot sneak in to interrupt the objective. But we have down at the bot lane leftovers opening up the wall. They're trying to go for their kill. They're moving in. ADRD barely getting out.
Fantastic siege tactics there, boosting himself to freedom. 8 seconds until Muradin and Deckard. 8 seconds now until Malthael as the Zerg wave begins to come in the bot lane. The keep will go down. This is going to be 5 versus 5, 20 versus 20 on the core. Do or die for Method.
At this point, you have to throw everything into the defense here, and it's going to be difficult for Method. They're going to try here, but the Storm Talents are here for both sides.
Forward.
The Zerg wave is moving in. They're attacking early. They're going in again. Mopsio needs to be careful here.
They're moving forward. Here comes the Warden's Cage. It hits nothing, but the core is beginning to burn down as the AB just focuses down. They're completely ignoring the fight. The Lornado the kidney goes down. Here comes the X-Prize. The AB is getting caught by the last prize, but the Indomitable Turret keeps him alive. Core goes down.
DAB.
They take down the core, and that is gonna be leftovers with the 3-2.
Absolutely fantastic performance here by leftovers. They take the game, they take the series, and are actually able to make a complete reverse sweep reality, taking 3 games in a row.
Fantastic play. They will be moving on to get their rematch against Team Freedom, winner of which will be playing against Team Dignitas in the grand final. But they've managed it. They pulled off the reverse sweep, Caldor. They somehow managed to pull it out at the end.
It was absolutely fantastic, and a lot of it came down to the damage choice on level 16 for Karazim. Linked with the play there and able to confirm so many of the kills that they were otherwise not able to get. Especially Muradin escaped over and over again before that talent tier came in. But then towards the end, every time he jumped out, Link immediately followed it up, had the final few blows that secured the kill, and that started it all, confirmed the triple kill at the top, and then they could end it with that last wave after pushing the keep out even before the Zerg wave arrived.
And with leftovers, they now need to reevaluate. They've already played against Team Freedom. Team Freedom will have been watching this with open eyes and open minds, knowing that either of these teams is going to be a tough opponent. Can they overcome the leftovers?
It's going to be tough, and this is a really interesting scenario because we could actually end up again with mobs